My name is Ann McDonald, and I am a business coach, a consultant, and my area of specialty is how many of you want to have successful information products in the online space? How many of you're either in ministry or you are in business, or you want to be able to monetize your ministry, you want to be able to monetize your business, and you actually need to take and step over that line of information products. Things like information products, signature series, signature courses. That is my specialty. I've got awards here behind me in various places because I have been at this since 2008. And today I want to share with you 3 very simple things. We're actually going to do a very quick exercise because my heart here is to empower you to actually monetize in the online space. So if you are watching the live stream or you're watching the replay, please let me know in the chat how many of you are actually ready to monetize your expertise, to leverage your life experience, to stop working in your ministry and actually be in a place where your ministry is supplying you the resources you need because you are so excellent at providing your donor base with programs and products and services that they are super excited to buy. How many of you are up for that? Awesome. All right. So the title of today's training, very simply, right here, friends, it is literally how to monetize your hobby, even if it's a ministry or a Bible study, without worrying about having a big audience, a website, or even a present product. Okay. How many of you are in that position where you're kind of like, I know that I have something that my audience would buy. I don't have a website, and I'm not quite sure what to provide, but I know, like, I have all these ideas, right? I have all these ideas for what it is that I want to put together. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's my goal today. My goal is very simple. All right. It's very, very easy. By the end of this short pop-up today, I'm going to be on maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. By the end of this pop-up today, you have 3 concrete keys. Say that with me. I have 3 concrete keys that I can actually use to move the needle forward so that you can monetize your hobby, your ministry, that you can actually put some things together. Okay. All right. So here's my ask of you. I'm asking you to turn off the other distractions. Okay. If you're watching this live, just put the other stuff down because you're actually going to get the energy of me doing this live. If you're watching the replay, I just released the energy of the live event. Okay. So what makes this difference? What makes this different? So who am I and why am I sharing this with you? Why should you listen to me? So my name's Ann McDonald. I have been in the online space since 2008. I am a professional interior designer, interior decorator by trade. I have been in the luxury interior design business for well over 30 years, like well over 30 years. I have worked in major markets, have multiple 7-figure businesses, both in the online space and in the offline space. Real estate, design, physical product, information product. What we're going to talk about today is the information product space. Okay. In 2008, I went back to work into my interior design trade, and I was ridiculously frustrated because the way that I had made money back in the day, like in the late 80s, early 90s, before I had kids, had radically shifted from how people were monetizing in the design space in 2008. And I couldn't actually, I was over here, I'm like banging my head against the wall. I'm like, I no matter how big I build my teams, I can't actually make any money. It was like the margins were shrinking. There's a fancy business word that one of my clients, I had this whole discussion with one of my clients, I was working with him, and he's like, Ann, you're talking about this big word, I didn't even know what it was, disintermediation. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, but I'm not making any money. I'm working my off and there's nothing.
Good word, disintermediation.
Disintermediation. And I think I came home to you, Patrick, and I was like, what the heck is disintermediation? It's basically like where the profits are shrinking. Now, How many of you, especially over the last couple of years, you're like, maybe you're part of the great resignation, you're resigning from your jobs, maybe you've been let go, maybe you're aware of like, oh, things have changed, okay? And so you've actually got to figure out a way that you can actually monetize in the online space with what you carry. Well, that's where I was in 2008. Now, what should have taken me 6 months took me 5 years, okay? Took me 5 years of banging my head against the wall, trying to figure out how to actually take my knowledge that I had in the interior design industry and monetize it in the online space. Would you say that's like true? Was I like super easy to be around during that time, Patrick? No. I was not. Okay, so I was trying everything. I'm like, I know there's a way to do this. So here's what happened. So during that time, I learned a lot of things. I had some great mentors who really, really pressed me. They were like, Ann, you've got to create information products, get out there, do some sales webinars, do all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah. I know. But okay, here's my question for you. Have you ever said this? Yeah, but my industry's different. Anybody?
Different for me.
Yeah, different. Like, right. I'm in the ministry world. It's different. Nobody has any money. Or for me, I was like, I'm in the design industry. Nobody is buying stuff online. Well, hello, the whole world is online right now. Okay, so I did a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong. So after about 5 years of banging my head against the wall, I finally figured it out. And what you and I are going to do today is we're going to go over the 3 steps that are going to help you turn your hobby, monetize your hobby or your ministry or that slew of business ideas that you have, and take that, and I'm going to give you 3 keys to turn that into a specific product that you can actually sell in the online space. Okay, are you ready? Yes? Let me know in the chat. Awesome. Okay, what did I discover? 3 things. All right, I'm actually going to go to the whiteboard and we are going to write these 3 things. Okay, 3 keys to monetize your hobby, ministry, even if it's a Bible study or business idea. All right, hold on. Just hang with me, friends. Without a fancy website, a large existing audience, or what? An existing social media presence. Okay. Here's what I did. The first thing, I want you to write these keys down and then we're going to unpack each one of these. Now, prepare to be underwhelmed when I write this word down. I want you to write this down. All right, say it out loud. I will make a decision.
I will make a decision
To focus on one result.
One result. I will make a decision to focus on one result.
All right, that's the first key. I'm going to give you the second key. Okay. Create a simple way for my client. We're going to unpack each of these, okay? To get that result. Key number 3, I will go live and share.
Create a simple way for my client to get that result. I will go live and share.
Okay, now hold on.
Do I have to go live and share?
Okay, what did I just use? Do you have to go live and share? Well, what do I always say about if you want to make money in the online space, what do you have to have? You have to have something to
sell.
Okay. So the 3 keys, pretty simple. I will give you ways that you can go live where you don't have to be the one in front of the camera. However, I will tell you, the practice of going live in front of the camera will radically shift your prosperity. Okay. You are an expert in something. Maybe you know the book of Psalms better than anybody else. Maybe you are in a ministry that helps out women and children, orphans and widows. Maybe you have a ministry to business executives. Maybe you have some sort of consulting to large scale or small scale ministries. Maybe you have a business where you're a coach or a consultant. We work with, like, maybe you have a publishing business, a self-publishing business. Maybe you're like, Anne, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. This is what I do. I help people in the fitness arena, or I help them get rid of stress in their lives. Or maybe you're just like, you know what, I'm actually a nurse. It's really interesting. We have a lot of nurses and in a lot of our programs. And so maybe you're a nurse and you're like, how do I actually take my skill set as a nurse and monetize it in the online space so that I can follow my heart into my ministry? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about these 3 keys. Okay, I just have some notes on my other screen so I don't forget this. Okay, so here's my next question for you. Do you want the hard way or the easy way? Do you want the 30 to 45 minute way, or do you want the 5-year way? Let me know in the chat, because I've done it the 5-year way. Okay, I have done it. Okay. All right, easy. Easy. Because for me, what happened with those 3 keys, which literally have not changed for me in at least 9 years. Okay, I make a decision, I create a product, and then I actually go live with it in some capacity, whether I'm the front man or somebody else is the front man, literally. And I do that. And that's what we're going to unpack today very simply. Okay, now I want to share with you my original breakthrough. And I want you to understand that the results that I'm going to share with you are not typical. Okay, they're not to just write, just say, I get it, and this is not typical. Okay. All right. So when I finally broke through, I had made a decision that I was going to do this no matter what people thought, no matter how I looked, no matter what happened with the technology. And I'll tell you what happened with the technology in just a minute. It was kind of messy. No matter what. Then I created a product. I created a series of slides, literally on PowerPoint. Okay, no big deal, literally on PowerPoint. And then I went live and I shared it with 19 women. That was it. Inside of 90 minutes, okay, hang with me, my PowerPoint looked like crap. The colors were all wrong. Like the graphics were bad. Like I didn't have any fancy graphics. The webinar dropped. The technology dropped. I had to get them back on. I think 14 people came back on. It was delivered live. There wasn't a replay. And so 19 people went to 14 people. But guess what happened? When I made my, I'll call it my sales pitch at the end of I did this whole training, I made just under $15,000. How happy was I, Patrick?
Oh, how happy was I?
Like, you would have thought that I made $1 million.
As far as I'm concerned, you did. Because I'll tell you why. Because if you earn 15,000, you can earn $1 million.
Yeah, it was, I was like, what just happened? And let's go back to the 3 keys for a second. Write the 3 keys. Just please, friends, write the 3 keys. I've been at this a long time. It doesn't change. Okay. So the 3 keys were, I made a decision. I was just like, I'm done with trying to get everything perfect. I'm like, I had all these different backdrops. I had all these different cameras. I mean, this was back in the day when, you know, you needed to connect everything, and Patrick had to be upstairs. I had to be downstairs. It was just like, this is hard. I made a decision. I put a date on the calendar. Actually, it was August 8th. And I did it at 8 a.m. 8 at 8 a.m. No joke. 8 at 8 a.m. I'm like, I'm going live, come hell or high water. Actually, no. August 8th at 8 a.m. was when my program started. That was when the people who, I want to make sure I get this right. So the week before that, so it would have been August 1st, I guess, or yeah, the 1st, I had done the live training. And I'm like, here we go. Whether or not anybody shows up, I made a decision. The second thing I did, write this down. I will make a decision today. The second thing I did, I just made a list. I was like, what is it that my actual audience wants? Well, at the time in the design industry, there was this whole division. I want you to think about this while you're listening to me right now. You're in ministry. How many of you are in ministry? Just let me know in the chat. You're in ministry. Okay. How many of you are in business? Okay. Just let me know in the chat. All right. How many of you are kind of like, not really sure what I'm in? Okay. All right. Here's a sub-secret. I want you to, actually, I'm going to say it this way. Here's a sub-secret tip. Just say out loud. Here's a sub-secret tip. This is a money-making tip. Okay, you ready? I want you to write a list of results, and I want you to put them in 3 different categories: financial, relational, and health. Okay, so I want you to tell me, I would just make a list of maybe like 9 or 10 results that you can get and put them in one of those 3 categories. So let me go to the whiteboard and share with you. Okay. Is this blessing anybody? I hope so. This literally, friends, this is like, okay, we're going to go to the next page. I'm going to draw. We're going to go to the next page. And this is what I want you to do for key number 2. I want you to make boxes of different types of results. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go back to key number 1 and you're going to decide. Okay. So results that you can get in the financial area. Okay. Results that you can get in the relational area. And then next, results that you can get in the health area. So I don't know which businesses you have, let me give you some examples of results of people that we worked with. They get less stress in their life. Relational, they have better marriages, right? Better families, right? Literally specific things. For me, we were working in the financial and the relational realm. So maybe they're going to make more money, or maybe they're going to make some money, right? Maybe they're new to this. They could save money, right? In relational, it could be about preventing, a bad outcome, maybe a divorce or some other thing. Right? In health, you could lose weight, right? Or you could gain health, right? Maybe someone is sick and you have some tips. Like you're gonna not eat sugar, you're gonna have less stress in your life and all that kind of stuff. So when you are on the second key, all we're gonna do in this sub money making key, right, is you are going to make a list of results that you can actually get for people. Okay, so when I created this very first information product from my design and decorating business, I was after a result that would actually eventually get my clients more money, get the designers and the decorators that I was working with get more money, because they were having trouble. They could either make a room that looked beautiful or they could make a room that lived beautifully. And it was like, at the time, you couldn't have both. And so what I did was I made a decision. Key number 1, right? Key number 1, I'm going to make a decision. Okay. Key number 2, I created a very simple system for my clients to create rooms that lived as beautifully as they looked. That was it. Then key number 3, I picked a date, put it on the calendar, I went live, I shared, and I made an offer. And almost everybody bought. Can you get a hold of how my life changed? Like
Our life changed.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
Do this again and again and again. And that's why I'm so passionate to share this with you. I'm just like, it was like, here's the thing. That story of what I went through, because I know I was there. I lived there 5 years. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I was trying to be perfect and trying to be on camera and all, like trying to figure it out. It was so bad, friends. And yet, Patrick, you're still on camera. So it was so bad. And yet, because I made a decision, right? I made a decision to focus on one result. And then I put the whole thing together. And then I just went live. And I just shared my story. Literally, like I'm sharing my story with you. Yes, Patrick?
I just wanted to add, I want to stay on because, we talked about this earlier, the idea of making a decision. And when you are in an online venue, you're not, and especially if you're not as familiar with it, you're out of that traditional space where we're conditioned to look for permission. And so I think sometimes we delay in something like this and we don't make a decision because we're looking for somebody to tell us we can do it. And the beauty here is you don't have that. Like you can do it, but you've got to get over the idea that you need a certain piece of equipment or a certain piece of paper. You don't need a license. And I think that can trip us up. And that takes us, sometimes in the process of getting ready, we prepare ourselves emotionally to take that step. That step here is like today. And that's why the decision portion is so critical. And it's sneaky, I think, in a different way in this space. That's what I wanted to add.
Okay, so did everybody get a hold of that? Because Patrick, tell a little bit about where, like, you came out of corporate.
Right. I came out of it was a quote unquote entrepreneurial job, but it was in a very structured, regulated business in the financial world. And so, yeah, you had to be a self-starter, but there were tons of things that had to give you permission. You had to have a license. You had to have training. You had to have a degree. You had to have a boss, give you this account or that account, a whole list of things, and then there were periodic checkups. And so the point is you get in this mindset and, you may not be from an industry that's really, really regulated, but you may be in a relationship where you feel like you have to get permission, or you may be in, if you have any job where you're working for anybody else, you're checking, right? And we get lulled into this sense of, it's a perverted sense of comfort where we're comforted by somebody else telling us, yes, you can do that.
Or
no, you don't have to do that.
Right. Has
Right.
anybody ever been comforted by somebody saying no? And you're like, I didn't have to risk that. Awesome. Right.
And I just think this is a sneaky thing that holds people back in this business. And we're talking about monetizing a hobby.
Yes.
Right. And that can become something more in a heartbeat. But talk
about that for just a second.
Yeah.
So stay on camera. One of the things that we talk about in our groups is the gaps between a hobby, when you kind of have a hobby that you want to think about monetizing. And sometimes people with ministries fall into that gap. Maybe they have a job, maybe they're a full-time nurse, or maybe they're, a full-time banker, or they're a full-time mom. right? And so, and they love ministry. They have a heart for ministry, or they have a heart for volunteerism, or maybe you just love setting tables, right? And so there's a hobby space. Then the next space that we talk about is the intentional learning phase. Okay. And that's kind of the next space. It's like, okay, I'm going to sit down and intentionally learn about this. How many of you have ever been to college or a junior college, right? Or a university? And so that's actually an intentional learning space. Like you sign up, you pay a lot of money, you set aside time, and the only goal there is to do research and to learn, okay? There's the next phase, which is what we call like full-time business, like entrepreneurial, like the only reason you're there is to monetize, and you're really working on numbers. You're like customer acquisition costs, lifetime value of a customer. And what happens is the hobby place, I perceive, is one of the easiest places to start to monetize, especially if you're new to the space, because it's a little less committal and it's very easy. Say this out loud with me, because this is, if I could drive one thing home for you today, this is what I want to drive home with your 3 keys. You're going to decide on a result. You're going to create according to that result. And then we're going to go live. Okay. Like, come on, people, let's do this. It is very easy to actually monetize your hobby, a hobby mindset, with a product price of about $500. Okay. So how many of you would love to sell one $500 product even a month? Okay. That's $6,000. You know, is it going to buy you a new house? No. Would it help? It could, right?
It could. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And if you, like, for me, do the math. I made $15,000 in 90 minutes. I'm like, when can we do it again? I'm like doing the math.
So, and
yeah,
I think what you're pointing at is, if you can, if you have a hobby, or if you have something that you're not sure you're willing to commit to at a business level, it's a lot less intimidating to just say, I'm going to give this a try,
totally.
Kind of call it a hobby. But you know, shoot, if you've got something where you're creating cash flow, you can grow that. Like, there's no reason that can't go from a hobby to, hey, I think I really want to make something out of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So here's what I want to share with you. So we have several groups, and one of the things that, we work with people who are in ministry and in business and all that kind of stuff. And one of the women, pardon me, who is in our group, I'm not going to use any names, nothing. Actually, there are 2 women, but one of them is in ministry. Like, her calling is in vocational ministry, nonprofit vocational ministry. And we were talking with her and we're like, look, you actually can go ahead and monetize this. And in her mind, she's thinking, you know, like $27 products, $7 products, you know, $100 products. And I was like, I actually believe that you could come close to making $10,000. And that was as foreign, like, no way. Like, that is not going to happen. And I'm like, do you trust me? And so we worked with her. And in a very short span of time, I think it was less than 2 months, might've been 3 months, she went from 0 to just under $10,000 in ministry. We had another woman that we worked with, and she was working in a volunteer free group. And in I think it was less than 2 weeks, she went from 0 to over $10,000. Why am I sharing that with you? I'm not talking about $100,000. Okay. I'm not even talking about $50,000. I'm talking about getting your feet wet in the process, stepping in, committing to the process, and saying, hey, I think I could actually do this. I might be able to clear, if these 2 women did it and they were in the ministry space, like, I don't want to take too long on today's call, but friends, I have products in like table setting, like how to set a table. Okay, we did one thing that I didn't even use like the computer. I used my cell phone. Made almost 7,000. Made over seven, just right at $7,000. How to set a table. Okay, so why do I? Yeah, go ahead, Patrick. I'm like ready to do my cheerleading.
Well, I was just thinking, and I don't want to draw us off. So if I am heading off on a tangent, pull me back. But
okay,
we've helped a lot of people, and Anne has helped a tremendous amount of people.
Yeah.
And the genesis, I think, for this training,
this pop-up,
this pop-up. You're getting my dog in the background. Yeah. Sorry. Is that we have seen a lot of people who have, I think that they think they have to commit here.
Oh, at the top business level.
Right. And they're not really ready for that for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. Like there's no judgment, but they think they have to commit here, and they put themselves in this stream where they haven't clearly identified what it is they really want. And so that creates a lot of tension with them and with whatever the resource is they're trying to pull from. Because the resource they're trying to pull from is trying to push them here, and they're more here. And that causes some people to completely pull away.
Yeah, like I can't do this.
Right. Yeah. Or they don't try. And so I feel like one of the really important things to take away here is that you just need to be comfortable. You need to make a decision about where you want to be, and then be comfortable in that. You can change tomorrow, right? You can quit, or you can go for making a business.
Yeah, you can go immediately, but keep going. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, because I think you're articulating something that's really powerful. And I think this is what kept me in that loop for 5 years. Because I'm like, I'm a decorator, I'm a designer. What do I have? Right. And that first product that put me over into, and I would say over the breakthrough, was called Decorate Like a Pro System. It was a $495 product with a $995 upsell. It was an 8-week live course. And it changed our lives. Like everything changed, because I went from working 24/7, trying to build teams, paying payroll. I mean, I think it was, and I had great revenue, but I had no profit. So sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
Oh no, I just had a thought. I was one of the things about if you are somebody who has an idea, or sort of is more like, I think this is more of a hobby level for me. One of the things about that is it still allows you to work on the most important thing, I think, if I had to pick a most important thing, and that would be your offer and the results of the impact, right? Because all we're talking about really is scale. When we talk about like hobby versus business, but in both cases, you've got to have something that people want, and it's got to do something for them.
Yeah.
And that still allows you to do that. And that's really the thing. And if you can become confident in what that is, in your offer and in the results that it creates, both of those things.
Yep.
Now you have a high quality problem.
Oh, it's so true.
Right? Because the high quality problem is, I think, if I invest a little more time and effort or whatever, or resources,
everything can change. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to, but that's a high quality problem.
Yeah, that really is. So here's what I want to share with you, because it's noon. We're on for 30 minutes. We're going to do a bunch more of these pop-ups, but here's what I want to say to you. Anybody who's watching right now, you've got a hobby. You've got a business, or you have a ministry, or maybe you just have an idea and you're like, I know, like I'm feeling called to this online space. I'm feeling called into that place where I got to take this God idea, or this God calling, or whatever it is, and sell it, or make a little money here, like actually create some resource. For any of you who are in that space, Patrick and I are literally hosting a 4-hour live workshop. We're going to be hosting it on Saturday, February
12th.
12th.
Yeah. Day before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the day before the Super Bowl. Okay. So
We didn't want to, overshadow the Super Bowl. So we're going to do it on the 13th. We're like, they need viewers.
No. So Saturday, February 12th. It's a live workshop. We are literally going to spend 4 hours with you live. It's a paid workshop. The only people who will be in this workshop are you, because you're going to join, but people who are actually serious about learning how to take what they carry and monetize it in the online space. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to share my screen with you. And here's my invitation to you. Well, first, do I have permission to share with you and to invite you to this workshop? We already have people signed up for this workshop. Awesome.
Genius.
Okay. So let me share the screen with you. If you want to register for this workshop right now, you go right here to perfectyourplatform.com. Perfectyourplatform.com. It will take you, it'll say auto webinar page. That's just the sub thing, but it's not an auto, it's not a webinar, it's a live workshop. So what we're going to do is we're going to teach you how to leverage your life experience, whether it's in hobby mode, or maybe you already have a business. Like I had a design business. I'm like, I got to take this thing online because my business right now is killing me and I'm not making any money and I got a lot of overhead and it's just like, it's really hard. Okay. So with a micro niche, okay, who was I serving in that space? I was serving other decorators who were pulling their hair out. Okay. Working less than part-time. I'm going to stop the share and go back eyeball to eyeball to you right now. Friends, team, new friends, family, streamers. This doesn't take a ton of time. Like we have lifestyle freedom. Okay. I'm eyeballing you. Lifestyle freedom. Okay. Patrick, what time did we start work today? Like an hour ago?
Something like that.
Something like that. Like, okay.
Right.
So,
but whether you have something you're working on that you want to improve, you want to scale it, or it's not profitable and you want to try to get it profitable, or if you have something that you're asking yourself, is this something that I could monetize?
Yep.
This is going to be a workshop that's going to be really beneficial for you.
It is. We're going to talk about work less, make more, how to do it quickly, how to leverage in like 30 days or less. We're going to do some laser coaching. You can find out about this and then see all the testimonies of all the people just like you, just like me, that we have worked with. Like these are normal people, okay? Normal people that we work with, and we've helped them move into this space, okay? Look at this. Think this won't work? Friends, in 2013, I had the breakthrough and I'm like, I got the system, I got the model, put my head down and got to work.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, Patrick retired from his corporate job. We're in our mid 50s. We live in Lake Tahoe. And it's like, we host events around the country. And I want to help you get out of that space that I was in 2008 to 2013.
And you have two perspectives here, right? You've got a person who's really has a history of depth and experience, and that's Anne. And you've got somebody who has come from a completely different background. And, I had to overcome all of the questions that you probably have, some of the skepticism that you might have. And it all comes together, I think, to accelerate whatever that walk is that you want to walk to get from here to the life that you want to lead, because it says leverage your life experience. And this is about your life. All this is a tool to help you do two things: help people and improve your life.
Oh, say that again. That is so good. I'm going to write that on the whiteboard.
Yeah, it's just a tool to do two things. You're to help people. You've got to start there, because that has to be your primary motivation. Because that's like, I always use the term true north. Like, what is the direction I've got to always go? What is, how do I always reset and make sure I know that eventually I'm going to get where I need to go? And it's my true north. And your true north is, if I'm trying to help people, and if I get good at that, things will fall into place, right?
What were the two things you said, people? It's a tool to help people and
help your life and change your life. It's a tool to help people and to change your life. And the change in your life comes in two ways, primarily. One, finance, money, and two, time. And I would argue time is the bigger one, because you can't replace time. Money you can go get.
Yep.
That's another conversation, but money is everywhere. Money is way less of a big deal than people make it. It's a big deal, but way less of a big deal than people make it. But time, it's only a diminishing asset.
Oh, so true. So Patrick, we've been on for about 35 minutes. Anything that we want to say in closing? I want to share with you, go register today. Will we record this and send the recording to you? Yes, we will. It's $47. Why are we charging $47? Because I want people who are serious about making the decision to have 2022 look different than the end of 2021 for themselves. I would rather work with 5 people who pay than 4,000 who don't, because I want you to learn to invest in yourself. And this, what has cost us, I mean, for me, really since 2008, how many years is that? What's 22 minus 8, right? It's been a long time. Was it 14 years?
Yeah.
So this has been 14 years of me being in the online space.
Yeah.
And what took me 5 years to get the breakthrough on, I want to hand to you in 4 hours. I want to hand to you in 4 hours. Okay. And ask yourself the question, if you can learn in 4 hours what it took me 5 years, now 14 years to like, I would say hone and perfect. That's why we call it perfect your platform. And then hand off to a couple of people who didn't actually believe it was possible, both in the ministry space. And they're like, how did I make $10,000? I'm like, how did that happen? And I'm like, because you helped people and you changed people's lives.
Right. And so I just think there's 2 really simple keys that we haven't mentioned. And today, Anne's heard me say this before, that helps me break through indecision or skepticism.
Oh,
and
are they?
They are, don't take yourself too seriously and show up. Have
Okay.
you, there's an old saying, like 98% of, 90% of success in life is just showing up. And I got to tell you, I think back to my academic career, specifically in college, just going to class, right? Just showing up.
Okay.
Right? So many people don't show up.
Say that. I will not take myself too seriously.
Yeah.
Say that out loud. I will not take myself too seriously.
I will not take myself too seriously.
And say out loud, I will show up.
I will show up. And the too seriously portion, that's where we start to outthink ourselves. That's where we start to think we get afraid of making a mistake or doing something that someone might point at us and say, oh, well, that was stupid, which, like, by the way, who cares, right? But those are things where you start to take yourself too seriously. And the other part of, not taking yourself too seriously is you keep a sense of humor. And we really try to keep a sense of humor. And so we really try to work with people who retain that. And I just think that if you can tell yourself that, just don't take yourself too seriously and show up.